some people say, "Oh my god, it's gonna take so much to like edit a video and like film and organize," and like I don't really, I don't really plan any of this content. I mostly just live my day, film a little bit here and there, and create a story in the morning. And if I can't find an hour to edit that and turn that into a little story, I'd feel like I would have wasted my day.
Hey, welcome back to the pod. I've got a great episode for you today. I'm talking with Ben Sumadiwiria. He is also known as the Super Cool Ben on social media. He goes around and he's a very fun guy, and he's a trained chef, and he goes around Jakarta trying different foods. And what he does is, and this is kind of why I've gravitated towards his content, is that he's Chinese Indonesian, but he grew up outside of Indonesia. So he comes back and he's basically learning some of the cultural norms around food that I've been experiencing, right? But he takes it a step further. He not only asks the question, but he goes out and he finds the answers, and then he gives that information back in a very educational, friendly, and entertaining manner, right? So I think for non Indonesian speaking viewers, it's great. It's great content that kind of gives you an insight into Indonesian culture. But I think for any content creator, Ben has a lot of great stories. He didn't start out being, wanting to be a content creator and influencer. And kind of, started out as like a personal challenge to himself, and then he kind of grew from there. So I think there's a lot of lessons you can learn from Ben. Thank you to Ben for coming on the pod. Like, we literally just recorded this at a moment's notice. But when opportunity arises, you take it. Okay, so on to this episode of the pod. Ben, welcome to the pod. Super cool, Ben. Big fan. Love the food content. Can you share a little bit about your background and how you started creating content for everyone?
Yeah, so I just last year I had to make a decision of like, am I going to use my days productively and do something that I'm kind of afraid of? I'm not actually. I don't feel that confident, and I don't feel that. It might sound really weird, but I don't feel that extroverted enough to be able to say I'm a confident content creator, because I'm a little shy, a little insecure. So for me, it was more of an experiment of like, can I actually pull this off? Can I do the Casey Neistat thing where I post a single video every single day without missing it, without any excuses? Because I tend to be quite undisciplined at times. And I feel this challenge would allow me and permit me to showcase if I can be disciplined enough to post a single video every day. So since September of last year, I decided I'm going to post every single day, even if my house burns down. It will be a great test in discipline within the realms of content creation and within my life per se, because like if I can be disciplined in that realm, how I can be disciplined in other realms of my life as well.
So if I'm understanding, this started out as more like personal growth rather than like, hey, I want to be a full-time content creator.
Yeah, I never thought of that in the first place. I literally never. I don't even have the Instagram app on my phone, so I delete it after every day. I post, and then my cousin checks if I have any brand deals. But I don't consume any social media. I don't consume any TikTok, Twitter, or Instagram at all. So zero of that.
Got it. So you're really this kind of just started from, hey, I need to take myself out of my comfort zone and do something that will push me. That's something that I enjoy doing, and it kind of snowballed into this thing that you now have, a sizable audience. And I'm assuming that you get some, aside from creating content, you're getting some value from it as well.
Yeah, but it was never the intention. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know how many followers I have. I don't know who sends me DMs every day. I don't check any of the comments. I just don't really. I never think about it. For me, it's more like, if I am actually a creative person, as I I think I am, and I never post anything on social media, then I'll never have proof that I am who I say I am. Because some people, they say they're creative, and then but I would never post things on social media because I'm too good for that. But then you never know. I want to have an undeniable stack of proof to people that I am who I say I am. I am creative, and I need to create. It's like I'm born to do this in a sense. Like editing, shooting, and creating doesn't feel like any effort to me at all. Like it feels like going to the gym, right? Like I touch those barbells and like I belong here. I'm at the gym, I do some pull-ups and like, dude, like I belong here. I love eating nice, delicious food. Like I belong here. I love to create food and share it with people. I need to do it. I have to.
And you just, I want to get into your posting schedule, but before we talk about that, you are, if I recall, a trained chef. Is that kind of, that's your background? And then how is that why you're creating food content? Like, how would you describe your content, you know, your background, and then how would you describe your content?
Yeah, so I'm a chef. I was a chef on a plane. So I was working for Etihad Airways. And I was just like cooking on the plane for first class, which was one of the greatest jobs I ever had. But I realized it wasn't enough for me to express my creativity because I do like thinking about what people might find a little enticing and interesting. So a lot of these videos are quite educational because I did not grow up in Asia. I am a very European guy. Like I go around Asia and I don't understand those things. When people celebrate their first birthday of their child, or when one guy pays for the entire bill for everyone, I don't get it. I'm very confused by it. And then I made a video like who pays when Asians eat out, got a million views on Instagram, and I realized like wow, people find this very interesting. I think TikTok and Instagram are not so much more entertainment platforms, but I think we do have this urge to learn, and learning is one of the best forms of entertainment. It's like how can I show people something that I might find interesting and showcase it in more of a not so serious way while exploring my Asian heritage as well. I've only been in Indonesia for a year. I don't understand most things that happen here. So it's almost like a thought exercise for myself.
I think that's why I originally gravitated, right? Because the questions that you're asking are ones that I, as a foreigner, am also asking. So you know, I'm right there with you on that journey. So that's great. So you grew up in Germany, if I studied stock correctly. And so what are your like Indonesian roots?
My parents are both Chinese Indonesian, but I was born in Germany and I grew up in the UK most of my life. So,
And so then what brought you back to Indonesia?
man, like I was in New York for a while, and then I was in LA for work, and then I moved back to London, and then I was like, gee, it's getting quite cold here. I don't like it. So at some point, I just booked a one way, and I was like, I live here now. Moved to Bali, adopted a wolf, and yeah, I just decided I wanted to spend most of my time here, and then it just evolved.
That's great. And you've done that in a relatively short amount of time. And so you had talked about that you are posting like every day, right? You're not on, you kind of disassociate from being on social media, but you're disciplined enough to post on a daily basis, which I can attest to is very, very difficult, right? So like how are you maintaining that schedule? How are you keeping yourself honest and making sure that you are making that content? Because your videos are not just, you know, point and click, right? There is storytelling elements, there's some editing to it, right? That keeps the user engaged, right? So kind of tell me about that process.
Well, yeah, I'm probably not the right one to ask about accountability for this because at any given point, if I don't feel like it, I won't do it anymore. But interestingly enough, in the beginning, I thought, you know, the day's got 24 hours. If I don't have an hour a day to, for example, exercise, I feel like a loser. And if I look at how editing at the beginning was a bit of a strenuous effort. Like it took me an hour or two to edit a single video, but now it takes me like 20, 30 minutes to shoot, 30, 20 minutes to edit. I would also feel like a loser if I didn't post a single piece of content a day after knowing that. So I think the beginning was the most difficult part. Like, 100, like, I think the first 10, 20 videos, I was like, can I actually do this every day? Is this something that I can do, first of all? Because, man, consistently posting at the beginning was difficult. Now it's almost like part of my identity. It's like I wake up in the morning, it's like a video has to be posted. Otherwise, I'm almost lying towards myself about how efficient my day could be. Some people say, "Oh my god, it's going to take so much to like edit a video and like film and organize," and like I don't really, I don't really plan any of this content. I mostly just live my day, film a little bit here and there, and create a story in the morning. And if I can't find an hour to edit that and turn that into a little story, I'd feel like I would have wasted my day.
Interesting. That's the totally opposite of how I would do it, but it makes sense, right? I guess you can always kind of work backwards, but that's hmm. I want to now. I want to look at your videos with that lens. Um, so are you got into this because you wanted to kind of challenge yourself, right? And you've been doing this for a while. You've got this routine to post every day. Now, have your goals shifted at all? Like, what is driving you to continue to post these videos, or is it purely still like you want to educate, entertain, and improve yourself?
Yeah, after the first, so I've been doing this for 5 months now. And after the first month, when the first brand deals started rocking in, I realized I didn't have to work anymore. And I didn't want to do, I mean, I had a great job with like, you know, writing scripts for other companies, creating a bit of strategy, like a proper 9 to 5. And then I realized, ooh, after the first month of posting content, if I just get one brand deal a week or even a month, I don't really have to work anymore. And and then suddenly, a lot of people started like kind of tuning in and being like, "Oh, it's kind of nice to be able to see you every day because you moved away from Europe and you moved away from the US. Now it's a chance to get to see you every day." I thought that was quite nice to be able to say that. Oh, like my friends are still up to date with me in a sense, although I have loads of friends all over the world, and the opportunities are getting quite ridiculous. To be honest, like I have to be honest, I couldn't always make a living in life. It was I didn't have the ambition in the sense to be super hyper ambitious. But now the opportunities are coming in, and people are flying me out to Singapore. And, a lot of like private equity firms are like, "Ooh, can we use your face for stuff?" And like, and I think, besides all the brand deals, the bigger picture is I have influence now, and I have to be very careful with it. So, there are brands that like whiskey brands that offer me $10,000 deal, and I think I never take them because I don't want kids to think that it's a great idea to get wasted in them, or I don't want to be an influence for alcohol. But these brands, now that I have this following, a couple 100,000 on YouTube and on Instagram, it's not like where I make so much money off the content itself and off the platforms, because I pretty much make zero of that. But what's happening outside of my life, it's changing quite rapidly. And I'm a man of faith. I believe in God, and I've trusted my will to God. And I said, I don't really care what happens, to be honest, as long as I'm doing God's will. Yeah.
I think that, for me to hear that, that's great because it's essentially, what we're trying to do is get more opportunities for people like you, right? Because I think that being a content creator can be very fulfilling, and we want to help you get paid. Not to plug our company, it's just that's part of the reasons like we come to work every day. So I guess I got a couple questions to finish off. One is, do you have any advice for a young content creator or someone who is starting out, who is in their first 10, 15, videos, like you were at, right? Anything to kind of help them get them through, or some advice that will take them to the next level?
Yeah, I think they should stick to it. Um, yeah, I don't think you'll see any result realistically if you're completely new to making content. The first 2 or 3 months you'll not see anything because your videos are going to be bad. Chances are no one's even going to see it. Like, don't be afraid. Nobody cares about what you do in reality. And then, but once they do care, you gotta just like do it. It's hard to give advice on this because I think posting every day is one of the biggest things that kind of forces you into being creative and then kind of making the most impact. And it's unbelievably difficult. But once you get through it and kind of through the, oh, that's impossible phase, it becomes very easy. It becomes second nature. And then honestly, social media has made my life so much better. Not only financially, but like, my biggest expense was eating out at restaurants. That expense is completely gone. I just don't have to pay for food anymore. I get all these nice gifts, and people buy me suits and shirts, and it's very much a blessing. So I really recommend. I think everyone should have it because everyone has a story to tell, and everyone is. I'm super interested in people, and I think everyone has an unbelievably interesting story to tell. And if you think people are boring, then you're not asking the right questions and you're not interested enough. And I would love to see everyone's story. So I guess don't be afraid to share your story because it is interesting. You are worth it. And I'm very much look forward to seeing all of those stories.
That's great. No, I think I would echo that. Everybody does have a story. It's just kind of a matter of, can they take that step that you took, right? Where you overcome your fears and you put it out there. We'll get you away, send you on your way with this last question. For those who aren't aware, when Ben eats different foods in Jakarta, he likes to give them China points. So tell us about China points, and is there really a scale, or are you just throwing out points?
I'll give you two stories. One is true and one is false. And you guys have to figure out which one it is. The first one is, I have no idea what China points are. I come up with it new every single time. And the scale doesn't exist. That's the first story. The second story is, when I went to China, I went to Shenzhen and I saw a police robot on the street. And the police robot was starting to chase me. And I thought, how do I make this police robot stop chasing me? So I started screaming, China number one, in hopes that the police robot would stop chasing me. So I thought, oh, so that worked. What if I, adhere to the Chinese social credit system point where, citizens of China, they get points. So I went to the McDonald's in there and still being afraid of that police robot, I just started screaming 10 China points, 10 China points. And one of those stories is true, one of them is false. You guys have to figure out.
We'll put a poll out and see what people think. Ben, super cool, Ben. Thank you so much for the time. It was great chatting with you.
Thank you so much for your time. It was my privilege.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the pod. I hope you enjoyed it and you learned some valuable lessons. We'll put links to all the social media down in the description. If you're an agency, don't forget to go to slice.id and sign up for a free trial, or hit me up, Jesse at slice.id, and I can give you a demo. Content creators, also, you can go to slice.id and check out what we have for you. Thank you so much. Follow us on social media. Join Slice on all the social media platforms. Thank you, and see you next time.